Hey everybody, welcome to Local Business Hacks Podcast. I'm your host, Carl Case, and I'm on a mission to help you. Every week, we're going to be talking to local business owners and experts to get their best tips, tricks, and hacks to grow your business. This show is designed to teach you, inspire you, and motivate you to take massive action and start to build your future-proof business. Whether you're just starting off or you're taking your existing business to the next level, this episode is for you. So let's get started. Hey listeners, I have a super special guest today, Laura Munkholm. Laura, welcome to the podcast. Tell everybody who you are and a little bit of your background.
Thank you. Hey everyone, hope you're having a good day. My name is Laura and I'm the president and co-founder at Walla Software. So we are software for boutique fitness studios. We're a total end-to-end platform that manages everything from booking and billing to your client relationships, reporting, payroll. So lots of things that we're managing on a day-to-day basis. But I started the company with my business partner in very late 2019. I think we officially became a company like maybe even March 1st, 2020. So just all the amazing timing, you know. But actually it ended up being quite a blessing because we were able to build our software during COVID and observe how the fitness industry pivoted, shifted, what trends kind of stuck and what were just like, oh my gosh, knee-jerk reactions. How do I get my people to stick with me and continue to engage with my business? And how do I stay open? So we had the good fortune of observing that kind of from the sidelines and watching where potentially some of our competitors struggled in really adapting to those needs and where some shone. So it was kind of a blessing in disguise and really launched to the world this January. So it's January 2022 and we are growing like crazy. It's awesome. It's been a really, really fun and insane ride so far. I definitely am not out of the tech world. My business partner is. I'm the industry expert, the one who had been working on the business side of fitness for the last 15 years of my life. So yeah, definitely a rude awakening to what a tech startup life is like, especially I'm a mom, I've got 2 kids, I am juggling all of the things. So that's a bit about how we got here over the last few years.
Well, congratulations. Not that you can change timing, but the timing couldn't have been better, at least from what I see in our customers, because everybody was looking and had time to look and evaluate new softwares when they were shut down and looking to go digital, which I know you guys help with. So that's awesome. Do you mind giving our listeners some background on your fitness expertise and what ultimately drove you to create what is Walla today?
Absolutely. So way back when, I've started out as an athlete. I have been an athlete my whole life. I'm one of 6 kids. We go girl, boy, girl, boy, girl, boy, and I'm the middle girl. Smack dab in the middle. So I had to find a way to get attention in any way I could and stand out. And you can't tell on a podcast, obviously, or even on a screen, but I'm about 6 feet tall. So it was pretty natural for me to play sports and I loved competing. So I became a pretty competitive volleyball player, played in college. And I ultimately found yoga because of that. I had a shoulder injury, had to have surgery, kind of career ending. And so when I was looking for movement modalities that would support my injury and also just take me out of the intensity that I had existed in for so long in my life, everything was like, pardon the expression, but balls to the wall all the time. I definitely needed something that I could relax into a little bit more and wasn't, it still was challenging in its own right. And yoga was perfect. I hated it the first few times. It was maddening to try and like quiet my mind and not compete with the girl who was doing a handstand in the middle of the room. But yeah, so yoga was my first kind of dipping my toe into what the fitness industry had to offer. And I did that on the side of I just practiced yoga for a while. And then on the side of my sales career, I started teaching. And it was very much a fun part-time thing to do because I loved yoga so much. But inevitably, the studios that I worked at started just asking me like, hey, why are you selling memberships and packages, and how do you keep people coming back to your classes? And God, why is it that like every time you're here, things go well? So I ultimately started helping kind of behind the desk and really just spending a little extra time in the days that I was teaching. And I started to get to know the software platforms that they used. Primarily it was MindBody, and I naturally was a salesperson, so that part of it wasn't hard for me, but I also just took the time to understand who the individuals were that were coming to my classes. And so not only asking them questions, but then also digging into the software, looking at their history, their purchases, and seeing who they were as it existed in the studio ecosystem. And after being in corporate sales for quite a while, I ended up leaving to run a large yoga studio, help a bigger company, Yoga 6, with the acquisition of a large yoga studio here in San Diego, and running that for the first couple of years of its existence. And so I got really thrown into what it's actually like to operate and manage and run a P&L for a studio. Yeah, it was, I mean, it sounded so glamorous. I was like, yeah, I'm leaving my, whatever killer sales career where I'm making great money to go run the studio and make half as much as I was making. And now I'm working, another extra 25 hours a week. Yeah. On top of my already crazy schedule. So yeah, I mean, there was really kind of the awakening where I realized, oh my gosh, there's so much to be done in this industry. Like nobody understands how needed a sales process is, and how communication with clients needs to be outside the four walls of the studio on top of like great relationships inside the studio. And I really noticed how underused the software platform was. It was almost like I was handed this massive engine, and we were like pedaling like a car with an amazing, or like a huge engine that was capable of so much, and we were like Fred Flintstone, still like pedaling with our feet on the ground. It just didn't add up. And I ultimately left the day-to-day studio and started doing business and management consulting for studios and teaching them how to use software platforms to their fullest potential, and really helping them up-level their business systems, their processes, and using that software like it was supposed to be used. And over that 7-year period where I was consulting, I just constantly would run into brick walls and frustrations. And why is this so antiquated? Or at the time, I'm like, it's 2018, why can't we do this? Or it's 2020, why can't we do this? So there was constant frustration where I wanted to make something better, but I had no idea where to start. And then enter in 2019, my business partner, Doug, who I had actually worked with him as an advisor in his previous startup. He had a tech startup before in the fitness industry, and really was helping them understand product market fit, introduce them to studios, give them a really good understanding of what the use cases looked like where studios could operate within their platform. And we just stayed in touch, and he definitely had a fantastic team of people who had followed him from his last couple of companies. And we at a certain point just said, all right, screw it. The time is now. If not now, when are we going to do this? So yeah, we dove in, and now we've got, I think as of today, 28 employees, and we are the point where we're just in growth mode, not only internally, but our client base is growing by a few at least every week. It's definitely moving in the right direction. So
congratulations. That's an incredible story. And, what timing to open a fitness-based software 2019. Woo! That's awesome. So Laura, obviously you've been put through the ringer from being an owner operator and seeing how all these things function inside of the four walls of a boutique studio. What are some stories that have taught you lessons that you're constantly reminded of, that's like, if only I knew this 10 years ago, or knew this when I started my career, or maybe something that consistently is reminded on your day-to-day that you deal with today? Can you mind sharing a couple?
Oh my gosh. Yes, 100%. I mean, there's so many stories from it. We have jokes with the girls and I that manage the studio that we each could write our own book in a series of like insane things that happen to you while running a yoga studio. But there are little things that helped shape the product that I bring in from crazy stories that I had happen. Like I had a teacher that ultimately we had to ban from being in the software because she was sending inappropriate notes to clients through the software, or, like crazy things that you're just like, wait, this is a professional environment. This is a business. You cannot go in and, email our clients, go in and email stalk them through our system. And so now when we're building behind the scenes, we're like, okay, no, we can't just have the email on the front of the profile because we know we have to have permissions that block contact information, because that can happen. So there are little things like that I take from my days in the studio, or, oh my God, the hours I used to spend charging late cancel or no-show fees to clients, where I was like, please, can someone just automate this? It's going to happen every single time. Why do I have to have an hour of my day every day going through every roster? So little things like that where we built it into Walla, and it is just table stakes at this point in entering the fitness game. But what I wish I knew, those are always good questions. The me 10 years ago running the yoga studio. One of the things I wish I knew is what's possible. I think we operate so often as people owning, operating, running businesses from what can we do with what we have, and not from the kind of lens or perspective of what's possible. And when you surround yourself with enough people like that who are just like, why not? Like, let's try. Why not? That is what really drives innovation and makes it an exciting day-to-day experience. And I just feel so lucky that now I choose intentionally to spend more time with people who are not confined by the existing systems and the status quo, and instead are the challengers, the disruptors, the people who are just like, well, what the hell? Let's give it a try, And it's a lot less safe sometimes because there is definitely failure involved, but it's what makes it exciting. It's what makes this whole journey worth it and not become kind of a monotonous day-to-day task.
That's awesome. I know the first time I stepped into a yoga studio, one of my friends dragged me in, and I was like, listen, man, I'm into lifting weights and running and cardio. And I was surprised is not the word. I was in for a really, really rude awakening of how out of shape I was. Just like the first time I tried Pilates, I had a very similar idea. But the reason I bring that up is your community and your customers are definitely go-getters, and most of the time willing to innovate and try, which is super exciting.
Yes, I love it. In fact, part of what we really try to do at Walla, our number one core value is raving fans. So we are all about our clients loving us. We want to be referable. We want them to not just say, yeah, like, I'm happy. We want them to be comfortable shouting from the rooftops about us. And so we ask for feedback a lot. We hear and we change. We have an insanely quick response time on our customer support and on our delivering feature requests and bug fixes or whatnot. So it's definitely important to us, but it actually helps drive innovation in the business. It's not just about making sure they have a seamless experience, which that is incredibly important, but it's also about leading with this idea of they're in the trenches day to day. And if there is something that's going to make their life easier, why not incorporate it? Even if it's something we'd never thought of, or it's going to take us 2 steps back to jump like 6 steps forward, we'll do it. We'll certainly do it. And we love those conversations with our clients.
Yeah, I think it's incredible how much we think that, Referrizer and Walla, I'm saying, we think that we've got the most rock solid software. It's going to handle, 90 out of 100 issues or challenges that they have. And then here comes Joe on the corner with his yoga studio, and he goes, what if this? And you're like, oh my gosh, I never even thought of that. But that's what different eyes do for us.
Well, I don't know if you even know this, but one of the things we came to with Referrizer when we partnered with you guys was we have this really unique system within Walla that actually has personality profiling. We have a quiz, and we said, listen, we need to be able to segment communication by personality type. And so you guys were fantastic about working with us on building. I mean, we had API endpoints for whoever's out there and maybe doesn't know what that means. It's, data points that say, okay, based on this field being filled out in Walla, that can trigger a sequence or an email in Referrizer. And so we were able to build like a 16 email sequence for our thinkers versus mavericks versus doers versus givers. And so now our clients have the ability, when they use Referrizer, to not only use that email kind of habit coach sequence, but also trigger different types of text messages or emails based on who that individual is. So those are just perfect examples of how when two companies can work together to innovate, there is just so much possibility.
And invest in your chief technology officer to create those API endpoints and those connections. Because if not, you're relying on Zapier or some other third party. And when they go down, you go down with it, sister.
Yeah.
That is not good.
I hear that for sure.
Directly integrate every time.
Yeah. Makes a big difference.
For sure. So, Laura, I'm going to ask one more time. Is there a story that really is reflected upon in your current day-to-day? What is that juicy story or something that you're reminded of all the time that happened to you in this career? Obviously, you're a woman in the fitness technology space and you're killing it. There's no other Lauras out there that are like you that have done what you've done. So I can imagine you have something unique.
Yeah. I reflect back often on a story, and part of the reason that really I chose to make this decision to dive into a tech startup, I'll never forget when I was running the yoga studio. It was this Saturday and I wanted to be home. I had a almost 2-year-old daughter at home. I was 7 months pregnant with my son. I was sitting on my bouncy pregnancy ball in the office trying to get work done. And two of my teachers over the last pay period or whatever had asked for raises. And I was running payroll and I was trying to figure out if they deserved it. I can't understand from my software right now if you're really making me money or not. I'm literally bouncing from attendance and revenue to attendance analysis to just all of these different reports that didn't tell me a story. And so I was just ripping my hair out. And I just remember starting to cry. I was super pregnant and emotional. And I remember looking down at my giant pregnant belly, seeing the teardrop splashes on it. And I was just like, why isn't this easy? This is a core normal business decision that anybody in this position needs to make. Are my teachers effective? Are they reliable? Are they showing up to teach the classes they're supposed to? Are they getting people? Are they retaining people to come back to their classes? And I swear it was mind-numbing, the number of reports I was going through to try and get an answer. And I remember coming home and calling a good friend of mine who happened to be in tech and being like, okay, how does it work? How do you start something like that? How do I compete with this company? Because this is unacceptable. Do you know how many owners out there are moms and are trying to get home to their kids and spend that extra hour of the day with them instead of running stupid reports and trying to figure out an answer? So in a long story, long version of that, there's a very compelling, deep memory that empathizes with the day-to-day studio owner who is really trying to do it all. I'm trying to do it all. It is not easy to be the one who's in charge of packing lunches and your kids' sports schedules and also run a tech company or a studio or any kind of business. Being an entrepreneur is all consuming. So, just hats off to all of you doing that right now. And I have been there and I have cried through it. And I love now being on the other side. One of my favorite things to do in software demos for our clients is show them the teacher stats page where you can see the reliability, you can see how profitable they are compared to their peers in the studio. You can see return rates, whether people are coming back 1 time, 2 times, 3 times or more to their classes. So we have this beautiful dashboard of every teacher so that if any teacher ever came in and said, I want to raise, you have a very black and white answer for them in 1 click.
That's amazing. Thank you for that story. There was a lot of bouncing going on between the balls and the reports.
Yeah, that feels like life though, right? All the balls in the air, juggling, bouncing, everything. It's nuts.
That's so funny. Laura, I want to thank you so much for sharing that insight and joining our podcast today.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely love the idea of being able to connect with other studio owners and business owners in the health and wellness space, and also communicate the importance of how connecting with your clients, both inside the studio and out, is what's going to set you apart. I think, especially with what we've seen in the last 2 years, the importance and the just necessity of staying connected is really survival for businesses. And I think what's nice about Referrizer is that you have the ability to do that through text, through email, and really customize. And at this point, the name of the game is customization. I could filter my inbox by the number of times I've gotten a "we miss you" email, and it's the same email from 20 different studios. And with tools like this, and with just having the right platform, you can segment and trigger things based on so many different types of behavior that are personalized to the individual. And I love that. That's what's going to win in the end.
Agreed 1,000%. Before we end it, tell our listeners, who's your perfect customer, or who do you support today and where? So if they're looking to make that switch from X software into a new opportunity, how can they get involved with Walla?
Right. Absolutely. I mean, I'm not shy about saying it. Most of our clients come from either mind, body, or wellness living, almost all of our clients at this point. So we work with a lot of studios, boutique fitness studios that are anywhere from one to, multiple locations. And ideally, we work with people who are really interested in having some sort of virtual presence, whether that be a small or enormous video on demand library or live stream classes, because we handle all of that within Walla or through our seamless integration with Zoom. It's not to say we can't work with brick and mortar only. We certainly do, but we make life so easy for anybody who's doing a hybrid approach. We've got everything from yoga to cycling, bar, Pilates studios on our platform, HIIT studios. We're definitely focused on boutique fitness. And I think that's one of the things that differentiates us. We're not trying to be everything to everyone. We're not selling to music schools and dog walkers and med spas. We're selling to boutique fitness. So you'll find that a lot of the little intricacies that make a difference when you're behind the front desk checking in a class, we've taken care of.
And not having to drive a V12 engine, but instead having a car that maybe you're the Tesla of software.
Exactly.
I love my Tesla.
Me too. Wait, I have a 3. What do you have?
I have a red Y Performance. 2022 is the best gift I ever got myself.
Oh my gosh, that's exciting. It was a dream to get one. Yeah. Oh, super fun. Awesome. Well, you guys can find it at hellowalla.com. We are at Walla Software on social media, on Instagram and on Facebook. We are pretty active and excited to engage with you guys. Love sharing stories of our studios. So if you're interested in seeing and hearing from some of the businesses that are on Walla, I think you'll see that we are very clearly living our core value of creating raving fans, because they are very vocal about us on social media, which is great.
I love that. Laura, thank you so much from us and our listeners. We appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That's it for this week's episode. I hope you found it helpful. Be sure to head over to our site, local-business-hacks.com, to check out the show notes and send me questions or ideas for future episodes. If you want to grow your business, just like the people you've heard from here, follow Local Business Hacks Podcast and tune in for new tips, tricks, and tactics. Until next time, thanks for listening and keep hacking.